This is going to be an unscripted video where I talk about my plans for the future to sort of iron them out for myself, set some goals, and also really dig into what I want to do with my time as an artist. I've been thinking about it recently, and what do I want to do to actually have a goal for my work? I've been drawing for the better part of 10 years at this point, seriously drawing, where I am drawing with the idea that I want to do something grand with it. You know, if I'm counting my whole life, I kind of came out of the womb drawing. It's something I've always loved doing. I remember sitting in the dining room when I was a kid drawing on tracing paper and being told off by my parents because we'd run out of regular paper, and so I picked that to draw with, but tracing paper is expensive and not what you're supposed to sketch on, unless you're tracing, of course. Anyway, I really want to make some sort of story. I've always had ideas in my head, but they've always fallen through, or life's gotten in the way. But this is something that I think has some potential, at least for me. Right now, its name is Mother. It's a story about this character that you can see I'm drawing on screen, Eve. Her backstory is something evil cult, loses everything, dedicates her whole life to becoming a mercenary, where she personally will hunt down and destroy this cult from the inside out. Because presumably not only is it that they've hurt her, but they also could be continuing to hurt people. But the main motive for her is revenge. I want to write a story about what happens when you let trauma fester inside of you and consume your life. Because it's a situation that I have landed myself in, and I'm learning to come out of it slowly. And Eve is sort of this projection of that, of what if I didn't grow, what if I didn't move forward? Yeah, who would I become? What opportunities would I miss out on? What would I throw away in order to pursue these unhealthy goals or obsessions? I have her and her two friends sort of lined out, rough ideas of what I want to do with them. When I was a kid, I really wanted to animate. I used to watch animation memes on YouTube and stuff like that. And I'd love to start off doing things like that because I always admired people who did them. I even made a couple way back when. I didn't keep them because I was a twat and a kid, and I thought, I hate them, I'll never want to look at them again. And now I'm older, I wish I could see them. I want to sort of share my ideas for her and her companions, her story, try and communicate why more I'm making the story, as in more than I already have. And hopefully some people have fun with it if, 10 or 12 people over the years sort of sit back and are there to see me work on this. They may end up getting attached and kind of resonating with the message that I want to get across. And that would be a really good bonus. Just having a small handful of people who are interested and get what I get out of this. I assume to a lesser degree, probably because I'm the one who's going to be writing it. This is what happens when I don't fucking script shit. I go off the rails. I guess I'll spend a little time talking about my actual drawing and my art. This isn't a super polished speed paint, as you can see. I'm tabbing out onto my Steam library and my folders and getting pop-ups from friends, all that stuff. But it's a speed paint that I wanted to share, nonetheless. I don't usually record my stuff, but I decided to for the purpose of this rant. But also knowing that I would be trying out some new, textures and rendering, a new way of rendering. This is also the first time I'm properly outlining her colour palette. The way I tend to do colour palettes, I've not seen anyone else do, so I think I'll talk about that for a moment. It's not on screen yet, but what I tend to do is sort of get the base colours down. And what I mean by that isn't the values or anything, that comes later. I normally know roughly what parts of the character I want what colour. I want her boots and her trousers to be brown, I want her front cloth to be blue, I want her overshirt over the chainmail to be white, I want her hair to be white, I want her to be sort of medium tan, maybe a little bit lighter skinned than the average Asian person. and largely because she's going to be based in a bit more of a cold area, and so I feel like that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, very cold and very humid. And also, she's wearing armor all the time, like, she's getting no sun. That's my thinking anyway for her design. I wanted to do the white hair on her originally just because it looks good. But I ended up kind of logicking it out that, like, oh, you know, maybe the stress, you know, maybe that got to her and she ended up, you know, losing the pigment in her hair, because that's a syndrome that can happen. I know it's really cliche, but I can't lie, I'm a sucker for it. Her eyes are blue because I want them to be very clearly unusual, especially for her ethnicity. A piece of her backstory is that as a child she was blind, and through magic she was given back her eyesight. And that comes with a lot of fun things, you know, for her. There are things in the world that, even at her age, she's never seen before, that other people would have. And she's, you know, a little inexperienced in that way, which I think humanizes her a lot more than just being this, you know, cold mercenary, you know, the competent lone wolf type. I feel like giving her something like that really helps, just making sure she has a couple cracks in her exterior. You know, it's not the only thing, but it's one of the things about her that I wanted to share here. I've never actually drawn armor. I ended up not going with something super heavy for her, and also not something super complex. Because someday I would like her to be animated, and she already has way more details than what would be put in an animated character. But, you know, this is a reference sheet. I wanted to get something slightly more elaborate than what would be typical. So that was kind of a blessing, because as I said, I've never drawn armor before. You can, probably at this point, you're about to see me messing around with the plating, and I just had no idea what I was doing. I had to get, like, a little tutorial on my second monitor from, like, Pinterest or something. I also wanted to try something slightly new in the way I render faces, so I was being a bit slow with it this time. I'm normally really bad at rendering. Like, in my opinion, my actual character sketching and anatomy and everything is perfectly fine. I think everyone who doesn't draw every single day has, like, one or two shortcomings that do stick out to other people. And mine is rendering. I never practiced on it because I was a traditional artist for such a long time and I didn't use pens or anything like that. And then in rendering on my own drawings, I often just didn't do it because I was of the philosophy of, like, if I don't like doing something, why would I do it in something that I'm supposed to be enjoying? Which is great, but now I'm like, oh, I kind of want to do some rendering. I really want to capture a sort of sketchy, impressionistic style. A lot of people have really clean rendering. I know this, one of my mutuals has, like, the most polished, beautiful style. Like, every stroke looks so clean, and I appreciate that, but there are so many artists that do that already. I've always liked Impressionism. My favourite painter, it's really basic, but it's Claude Monet. I think his work is just beautiful, and so I'd like to have a more impressionistic style, because I think it's something that not many people do with cartoons. I haven't seen many people blend them together, even though I think it looks really good. You know, everyone talks about the sort of age of Disney where, you know, the studio was doing really, really bad for money, and so they were just churning out movies like Robin Hood, you know, and everything's really sketchy and scuffed, and people think it looks gorgeous. And that's the sort of thing that I like. You know, I don't know why not many people with cartoons do that sort of thing. But obviously I still have a lot to learn, and so sometimes it looks impressionistic, sometimes it just looks messy. But I shouldn't critique myself so much. Every drawing I make, I get better. And I know that's the same with everyone, it's just not everyone talks about it because not everyone can see it in themselves. You know, I think it's really hard to be confident about something that you put so much effort into and is so important to you. And for me, that's my art, that's music, that's drawing, you know, and so I'm quite fortunate that I feel I have a fairly good grasp on where my shortcomings are, where I need to keep learning. As I found out in this, one of my shortcomings is apparently drawing metal. I've never done it before, and so doing it this time was an experience. I will do it again, but I don't want to because I'm bad at it, and I don't like things I'm bad at because validation in myself is hard to get when I know that I'm not doing the best job. I suppose it's something I need to work on. But I think this actually turned out pretty well. Considering I've never done it before, I'm quite happy with it, honestly. I also tried out a slightly new way of rendering my hair. I tested it on a previous drawing, but I really hated it. I really did not like it. And so, you know, I tried to do it again here. Try and make it a little bit better than last time. A really simple way of shading, in my personal opinion. Just lots of smudge tool and blending and defined strokes to make shadows instead of cleaning it up all nicely like some people do. Anyway, I think I've talked enough for now. It's not everything I want to share, but I will make more of these, I think. Maybe as I'm learning to animate, I can upload some things, share with people what I'm up to. I just like to, It's nice to be able to point myself in a direction, what I actually want to do with my art. Drawing silly little pictures online is really fun for me. And it is just the end goal for a lot of people. But I really want something more, and I've wanted something more for such a long time. And I think now is a time in my life where I think I'm ready to take another step forward. It doesn't mean I'm going to be doing it with any sort of speed. It could be fucking 6 months till I upload another one of these. But I don't mind. I did the first one. I'm happy with that. Thanks for listening to me ramble. And I hope you enjoyed the speed paint. It's not finished, but I'm sure I will finish it soon. Maybe I'll share that when it's in progress. Alright, bye. Thank you.